Thursday, December 21st is the date with the longest night of the year, and it's a fitting time for attention to the plight of the homeless. That's the reason for Homeless Persons Memorial Day. To tell us about the national observance and the need for raising awareness is a guest from one of the Boston agencies that serve the homeless. We'd like to welcome the president of St. Francis House in Boston, Karen Frazia. Thank you very much for being with us, Karen.
Thanks, Chris.
First of all, talk about the history around this national observance.
Well, when you think about it, the longest night of the year, it's very fitting that we decide that once a year we would recognize or pause in our busy day to remember people who pass away while they're experiencing homelessness. It's really terrible that in our society people have no place to live. A home provides you safety, and many people die because they're homeless. And so as a country, we pause on this day to remember the people whose homelessness and their plight of being homeless has actually been an underlying cause, if nothing else, for their passing away.
I guess the message here is not just to think about some person in the midst of a crisis, but to think them primarily as a human person. Mm-hmm. That could be any one of us. Right.
Well, anyone, we all need family. We all need people around us who care about us, who love us. But when someone who is homeless, oftentimes those family supports, those people that can help us in our most difficult times, a lot of those support systems aren't there. Places like St. Francis House, we step in to be that support system. But it's often there's not enough supports, and so we want to use this day as an opportunity to call attention to homelessness, to recognize that as individuals, as a society, we actually we can do something about this. This is actually a societal issue that we can end. We can move beyond people being homeless.
We'll talk about that. Looking at homelessness is something that can be solved. Talk about an individual who's on that trajectory. Somebody who could be coming to St. Francis House at rock bottom, and how do they get beyond that?
It's so interesting, and I'm just thinking about I was talking with a woman today who is a professional woman. She was telling me a story about her nephew who had he grew up in a family where he had lots of supports. He had 2 advanced degrees, but substance use disorder had really wreaked havoc on his life. And so here was a fellow who had, because of his alcoholism, had lost everything and was on the streets and homeless. Unbeknownst to me, we had come together for a different reason, but he had come to St. Francis House. He had been a guest of ours, and we were able to help him get into a recovery support program. We were able to support him. We were able to provide him the food and the clothes that he needed while he was struggling. And she was just letting me know that today he's sober, he's working full-time, he's married, he has a child, he has a home. So I think sometimes when we see people who are in the midst of that crisis and that acute situation, we forget, or it's easy to forget, that there's somebody's son, there's somebody's daughter. We see them only in that moment, and what we don't see is the possibility of the future for them. We don't realize oftentimes when we're passing somebody in the street that we only see them in that moment. We don't recognize that they have a rich past and they can have a rich and rewarding future. So it's important for us to see people as unique human beings with stories that, lives that they've lived, but lives that they're going to live sometime in the future.
This is BNN News, and we're talking with Karen Frazia from St. Francis House, Boston. Karen, you're talking about the future of the people who you encounter when they're homeless. You're thinking about heading that direction in new ways. Talk about what you're planning there.
Well, we've been around, St. Francis House has been around for 33 years, and for 33 years we've provided food and clothing and refuge and mental health counseling and substance abuse services. What we're doing right now is we've purchased a building. We've purchased this building together with another organization, the Planning Office for Urban Affairs. And together we're redeveloping a historic building in downtown, which is actually right across the street from St. Francis House on Boylston Street. And we will be creating 46 units of affordable housing. We'll be moving some administrative space into that new building. We'll be opening up a recovery center to assist people with substance use disorders in our existing building. And if that wasn't enough, we've decided to open up a small business to provide some employment and training for the folks that come to St. Francis House.
Now, business training, it sounds modest in a way, but why is that so important to getting your life to come around?
Because we all work, right? So people don't understand that people who are experiencing homelessness, when I ask them, what are the 3 things that I can do most for you? Can find me a place to live, they need housing. But the second thing that people want is they want a job. People recognize the value of employment and giving yourself some dignity, having the way we see ourselves and perceive ourselves in this world is often by what we do. And so employment is critical. It's critical for the paycheck, but it's also critical for self-esteem and a feeling of self-worth. So for more than 20 years, we've really been very successful at helping people leave homelessness behind them by using their own resources, by helping them get a job. And our next venture will be to open up a business that will actually contribute something back to the neighborhood, a service that people in the neighborhood need, but also be able to create some skill-based training for people so that they can get the skills and the training that they need, that then they can go out and enter and find competitive employment.
And of course, the housing component here is, not just a handout, because housing is what stabilizes people.
Absolutely. Well, we can work better when we have a permanent place to live. We can address any mental health or substance abuse issues that we have. You can be safe from the world. A home it provides all of those things. So we already have 56 units of housing on site in our current location. So this new building will afford us another 46 units of permanent housing. And so we'll be able to provide permanent housing, substance abuse services, employment services, mental health services. And the beauty of it, it's all in one location, right? It's all downtown on Boylston Street.
Well, in the meantime, you've got to get through the winter. There's some more severe needs for people who are homeless and some opportunities for volunteers. Talk about that.
Well, certainly I just found out this morning, we don't have enough winter coats, which is such a shame. I mean, it's freezing cold outside. People are coming to us. They need a winter coat. They need hats and gloves, and we just found out that we don't have enough winter coats. But beyond that, we also need people. We need people to help serve food. We need people to help sort the clothing that gets donated, to provide the clothing that people come to us that they're desperate for. So we have needs for volunteers, and we have needs for donated items, and obviously we have need for donations themselves. But we need all those resources to do what we do every day.
Well, if people want to help out, is there a way they can get in touch?
We have a great system. We have a website, and people just need to go to the stfrancishouse.org website, and there's a link there. It tells you everything you need to know about how to get involved.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me.
Frazia from St. Francis House, Boston.